of those. But welcome, Esther, to the show.
Thank you very much.
It's really nice to have you. Can you just please tell us a bit about 4040, who you are, what you do?
Okay, in full it's 40 days over 40 smiles, and what we do is that we support orphans and vulnerable children, mostly through education and sustainability. So we want to encourage them to be able to support themselves long after we are gone or any other NGO is there. And one of the things, like you've said, that we've used as a tool is social media, because one, the reach is, you know, it's immense. It can be someone who's here, South Africa, Asia, they can get to know about what we are doing. But then also at the end of the day, it's cheaper, and there are more people who, you know, can get together, and so it has helped us put our cause across.
Why did you start 4040? I mean, you know.
Originally, it was just one of those things. Easter is coming up. I'm thinking, what are the other families that don't have families going to do? You know, there are children out there that are not going to have a huge meal, go to church, you know, after church, go and have chicken and a turkey and everything and make merry. So I thought to myself, why don't a few friends of mine get together so we can give back to children that might not necessarily have people with them on that weekend. And then we did that for 2 orphanages, and that was 2 years ago. But then after that, it was, now what? So what are they going to do for the rest of the year? You've done this, it's great, it's beautiful, they were happy, but after you're gone. So it was one of those things where, upon looking back, I was like, maybe there's more that can be done. And in that respect, I decided to make it something bigger, more involving, because at the end of the day, one person can do something, but together as a team, like, the possibilities are endless. So we decided to keep, at the end of the day, the thing that's, you know, pushing me was change and the community, and what are you doing for it, and what are you as an individual going to. So in the event that you're going to leave a legacy, will it be one of having been so successful, but that success was just in a little box, you are just on your own, or did you impact other people on your journey? So what we do is to try and inspire others to do good as well, but then for the bigger part, it's to improve the community in which we live in.
Okay, so you've used, you know, social media very actively. I mean, you've had successful companies like Buy a Brick and, you know, all those things. And what do you think about the whole hashtag activism? And, you know, that is going on these days, because it seems very easy for me to sit back, you know, in my house, very comfortable. And I remember the other day, NTV ran a story on the famine in the park, and, you know, people went on Twitter and were just making noise about it. You know, we should do something, and, you know, it went crazy online, and for a lot of people, that's why it stopped. So what do you think about, you know, the whole hashtag activism, you know?
Okay, for starters, it can be good. Yeah, it can make a difference. I mean, we are living proof that that has worked. We said buy a brick, and then a few months later, there was a dormitory because people had bought a brick. But then, what, for example, the feed in a park, I do know that I think maybe yesterday, there are people who actually went and took some relief items for people that were affected. But then, at the end of the day, if you only contribute a tweet, and then that's it, and you know that in your bank account there's, you know, there's money, or they're asking for clothes, and you know you actually have clothes that you're not wearing, to go the extra mile is not, it's not such a big deal. Like, it's something so simple. You see people who are asking, say, for books for children, and you know you have children who have outgrown the books, and then you're like, yeah, guys, let's take books. But you know you have the books, so why don't you also take your book so that it's a start? So
what do you think the problem is? Because a lot of there are a lot more people doing that than a lot more people acting.
There are lots of things. We are lazy, we are selfish, and at the end of the day, there are some people who, I'm speaking from experience, who want to seem like good people. So I was involved in this campaign. So they will even link themselves, yet they haven't been part of it, just because they think, oh, I think it's cool to give back, but you've not played your part. So it's okay to give back and brag about it. It's not so okay, but at least you can. But then to just, you know, create a hashtag and then sit and put your legs up and be like, I think there are people who go to Napak, right? They'll go. So they come back and they're like, this is what came out of it. And you say, oh wow, what a good job you guys did, but what did you do as a person? So at the end of the day, the culture of expecting someone to do something for you has invaded our brains and somehow refused to get out, and we keep thinking about it. I can't drop something on the street, and then because I know there are some people who are paid to clean up, Why do I have to make their job hard?
Yeah.
Like, keep it until you see a dustbin. There could even be one a few meters away. But if you can't do something that small, then that same individual is not going to be expected to contribute to a cause that's worthwhile, because they couldn't even start with the smallest, littlest things.
It's not. That's actually interesting. It's not just about what we say. It's about the habits that we create. You know, being able, throwing maize cobs out of the car and things like that. That is actually the problem. So this is just a result of bad culture.
Yes.
So how can we change that? I mean, how can because again, we might be one of those people who just come on TV and just talk about it. And that's almost as equivalent as just hashtagging and things like that ish. So how do we move on from here? Especially, again, we're a Christian show, and we believe that we believe in fruit and in there being a result of your works. I know the Bible says you shall know them by their fruits, and the same Bible also says that faith without deeds is dead. And the same Bible also talks about that part. I forgot where it is, and I'll paraphrase and remember the exact scripture. But someone was talking about someone being hungry. I mean, I asked for bread, and then someone offers to pray for them, and they tell them that's not the way. I mean, if you can pray for them later, but give them bread first.
Start with something.
How do we move from where we are to a place where we're doing something, where we are doing more? How do we change? From your perspective, I mean, you've done this before, so I'm just learning.
No, it's okay. I think for starters, this show alone is not like a hashtag, because you've actually gone out, thought of having a show like this, thought of someone who's involved in work like this, and then brought them. So hopefully the message is going to go across, but then it can't happen overnight. I'm not going to transform into some miracle worker because you gave a message like this, but this is a beginning. I'll give an example of the way we work. 40 Days Over 40 Smiles is that we will have, for example, a fundraising event. So maybe I know that you like soccer, so I'm going to include you and tell you, come and play soccer. Now when you get there, I'm going to ask you to pay an amount. That amount that you give me, you might give it to me because, there's an opportunity for me to play soccer, I could win, it's going to be great. But then when you get there, or even before you get there, I'm telling you what this 10,000 is going to do. So if you're one of those people who don't really care, you're like, I've given it to you, you'll still get there, and then I'll tell you, by the way, did you know that there are 100 children that are going to benefit from this after today? And then after the event, I will still come back and tell you what it did for those children. So you came to have fun, but then at the end of the day, you changed a life. But then it's something that needs to start from the grassroots. We need to start letting our children, even a 6-year-old child should know that, my neighbors on this side don't have a football, and I have one, and they need to play, and my parents can afford more than one. Why don't I give them the old one so that I can get a new one, or even give them a new one, better still, so that, there's a spirit of sharing and community, because at the end of the day, we need to feel like if there's a problem in a park, it needs to affect me too, because I'm a Ugandan. It shouldn't be, let's not think, oh my God, they are poor, they are suffering. Yes, that's not my tribe. Oh my God, how can I be a part of? We need to know that these people are part of us. If it's in Nigeria, we are all Africans. If it's in the world, at the end of the day, we are first human beings, then black, then everything else. The ethnic, all that comes a little later. So it's something that needs to be inculcated from a young age, and it shouldn't be one of those things where you're forced into it, because at the end of the day, it has to come from the heart. So if I tell you about it and you don't care, you'll give me the hand and go on with your life. But if we start letting children know, then as they grow older, even for us, in our campaigns, we try to engage people of all ages, so that, if you've not been living like this and you're 40, you can look back and say, hey, what was my contribution? I've missed 40 years of being selfish. How about the rest of my life becomes one of...
But I wanted to ask, because we've jumped the gun, right? We have moved to the point where we are actually doing. But how does me on a social media site be able to help spread the word and things like that? Because then I think that's where the passiveness comes from.
But it's spreading the word enough.
the question is, how do I spread the word? Because sometimes I might be the guy that is tweeting but also giving the money.
Yes.
But how do I help spread the word? How do I be effective enough, even with my little 140 characters?
I think for starters, by you tweeting, you have you've spread the word, yeah? But if you tweet, it's under the impression that your 500 followers are actually paying attention. What if they're not? Yeah. Have you told your colleagues at work? Have you told your family? Are you going to contribute to someone's life with as many people as you know?
Network,
yeah? Because at the end of the day, it's well and good to do it on computer or on a smartphone, but then they're actual human beings who are around you, whom you can speak to. So it doesn't help if a few strangers who follow you know what you're talking about, but then your own family doesn't know, and you get up in the morning and you go and say, Esther, have this 10,000 shillings, go and find something to do with it. Okay. Yet no one in your life knows, and together if you are telling 5 people and those 5 people told another 10, before you know it, it's going to be a revolution.
Because I mean, there's something we were talking about earlier, how we have sort of reduced social media to Twitter, to Facebook and stuff, and yet, you know, social media is just, you know, word of mouth. I mean, I'm hung out with 20s. Oh, 20x, you know, 44 is doing this cool thing. 20 goes and tells his wife goes and tells, you know, the group of his girlfriends go and tell their husbands tell their workmates, and we have sort of said, oh, a tweet is enough, and I think that is really interesting. How, you know, rather than tweet, I mean, if you have to choose between tweeting and telling someone, then you'd rather go and tell someone.
Right
now, because you think, oh, there are 2,000 people, so it would be easier. I think, and what you said earlier is we're lazy. We just want to, you know, just chill and take the easy way out. But it's a bit intriguing. So you said where we go from here is by getting involved in things, yeah? Get
involved, start small, start with your family. Yeah. Goodness, like, how are you going to come and preach something that you don't even practice at the end of the day? So if your family is involved in this, then there are networks as well. Yeah. So I'm your son, but then this is how I do things at home, so I'll tell my friend at school, who will then tell his dad, and before you know it, they're getting involved in something.
And the other thing is, I think I want to talk is a lot of times we assume people are all, I think everyone is concerned about something.
Yes.
Everyone has a problem that is dear to them.
Yeah.
Some of them, I mean, I may not care as much about orphaned children, but I might care about, let's say
maybe you care about cancer because you lost someone to cancer, for
I might care about cancer, or I might care about the state of our hospitals, or things like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we only assume, again, our good in Africa is sort of focused towards orphans and, you know, AIDS and things like that.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, you know, a lot of times shouldn't we, again, because again earlier we were talking and you were saying, you know, we should each be going out. I mean, people look to 40-40. Oh, Napak is having a problem. 40-40, can you do something? Oh, this is on 40-40, and people have sort of put the burden on you. Yeah. And I was just thinking about how, you know, we're talking earlier, and we should move to each picking up our own problems and saying, you know, I care about this.
Yeah, I think, for example, let's I would like for you to want to have this conversation and then have a list of like 300 people to pick from. You're like, I don't know which cause to have a representative from, because so many people are doing all these amazing things and they're using social media, or they're using their networks, and now they're here. But the mere fact that someone will sit there and be like, oh, I think 40-40 does this, without knowing their mandate or the people they're taking care of. So for example, if it's, let's say, cancer, yes, and you hear that there's a concert where they're raising money to put up some, you know, to get better machinery for the Cancer Institute. So for you to listen to that and then be like, wow, Ugandans are doing something really good, and yet you know that it's close to your heart, maybe you lost someone, or you know someone struggling with it, it's very disturbing that you're going to leave it at that. So if maybe you're not, like you said, concerned about orphan children, but then this is something that you want, so be it. If there's something to do with garbage collection and you feel like, oh my God, the slum that I live in is filthy, get a group of 10 friends and say, today we are going to clean this up. It doesn't matter if there's no media coverage. it didn't matter.
We have the corporate CSR mentality. People have to see me do this.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter who's going to be there. Like, it's where you live. At the end of the day, it has to be something that, you know, you do and you feel like, you know, I made a difference. It doesn't matter who knows at the end of the day. But we've gotten to a point where, oh God, these guys are doing it. Let's let them do it forever and ever. Yet, like we were saying earlier, if 40 Days or 40 Smiles is in existence right now, in 1 month, there should be like 4 other groups that have cropped up doing something, whether it's in Nakapiripirit or Nakasongola, and community members are actively involved in the things that they do.
Well, thank you very much, Esther, for coming. Our time is up. It's been really short and sweet. But yes, I mean, all we're trying to say here is, you know, stop hashtagging. Yeah, get your dad involved. Is your dad involved in 4040?
Yes, he is.
Involved. You know, get your dad involved in what you're doing. Get your immediate networks involved in what you're doing, and change something. Find something that's dear to you. Again, it goes back to our conversation about purpose. You know, what is that thing that you want to change in this life? And you know, in just a bit, we'll have Elizabeth coming on to just talk about concert that's coming up that you need to, you know, pay attention to. So just stick by for that. Of course, you can keep getting in touch with us on Facebook and Twitter with your comments or questions. I mean, Esther is leaving us, but we can still talk about it. About this whole passive activism thing. What are you doing? What do you care about? You know, what weird stories have you had of people just tweeting stuff? We'd like to hear about that. Our Facebook address is NTV GXP. Our channel is NTV_GXP. My name is David. From, you know, you can say bye to people.
Bye.
We'll play us some cool music. You're watching NTV GXP.